Welcome to the Herd's official YouTube channel. Make sure to like and subscribe. Don't forget to check out the Colin Cowherd podcast, all of our NFL instant reactions, and more football content.
I've had a dilemma last couple of weeks. What do I do with the Kansas City Chiefs? So last week I had them at number 10. Where do I have them now? Here we go.
Herd hierarchy.
Time is now. Let's go.
The top 10 NFL teams according to Colin. Number 10.
I'm going to put Baltimore at 10, the Chiefs despite a win or 11. Why? Because Baltimore's a road favorite. Baltimore's the better offensive team, and like the NBA, the NFL is an offensive league first. They're scoring 37 a game. The problem is their defense is basically the Dallas Cowboys without the star on the helmet. They got bullied for 3.5 hours, and they spent money on it. 5 of their 6 highest paid players are on defense, so they've got a little bit of a dilemma, and they score so quickly that they always just send that bad defense back out on the field. I'm going to put them at 10, Chiefs at 11.
Number 9.
The Bucks. Now, their schedule gets tougher. The fact that they have to go to the whistle to beat the Falcons and the Jets does not, feel great coming up now with the Eagles and the Seahawks, the Lions, the Niners coming up. They've been doing it, though, missing 3 offensive linemen and Chris Godwin. Baker Mayfield, like a Sam Darnold, has established himself as a legit franchise quarterback. 11 straight games with 100-plus rushing yards. That is hard to do in this league, especially when you're missing many top offensive linemen. I have the Bucks at 9.
Number 8.
The Niners at 8. Maybe it's a bit high. Mac Jones is the current starter. Now Bosa is gone for the year. Listen, Ricky Pearsall has emerged as a really nice weapon. 2 of their wins, though, are against the Cardinals at home and the Saints, and they don't have a bye until Week 14. This team could use a bye now. But the coach, the quality of offense, McCaffrey, Pearsall, Kittle's coming back. I put him at 8.
Number 7.
Here's what we learned about the Lions. If you have new coordinators, don't count the preseason, the Hall of Fame game, or Week 1. Since then, 900 total yards. Last night was not as close as the score indicated. Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery are an unbelievable running back tandem. 11th career game, they both scored a rushing touchdown. Aiden Hutchinson and that defensive front gobbled up Lamar Jackson. They are 12-2 in primetime games, beating the best Monday night quarterback ever last night, Lamar Jackson. Lions at 7.
Number 6.
Boy, I think the Seahawks are a handful. Kenneth Walker, highest-rated running back. Sam Darnold, PFF, highest-rated quarterback. And it does look like JSN is a number 1 receiver, but it's the defense that makes them the second-best point differential in the league. They have held all 3 opponents to 17 points or fewer, and a lot of credit goes to John Snyder, the GM, who has had back-to-back-to-back very good drafts. They're not even paying a lot of these top defensive guys. Seahawks at 6.
Number 5.
Listen, the Rams can't beat the Eagles. 1-6, Sean McVay against the Eagles. They win 75% of their other games. Their defense is young, inexpensive, and excellent. Most sacks in the NFL. Offense scored on 6 straight drives to take a huge lead against the Eagles. They've got weapons at tight end, wide receiver. Devontae Adams, people aren't talking about it enough. He's just going to keep getting better, but they don't match up with Philadelphia because they've got no corner big enough to stop A.J. Brown.
Number 4.
The Chargers. Great red zone defense. So when you can drive against them, they are the stingiest red zone defense in the league. Amarian Hampton looks like he's going to be a real deal. Keenan Allen, does this guy ever age? Number 2 passing offense. They're asking more of Justin Herbert. Now he's getting hit way too much. But Quentin Johnson doesn't appear to be a bust. He's emerged as a big-time downfield threat. I like their culture and their toughness. Chargers at 4.
Number 3.
Packers. Listen, fewest yards per play allowed, Green Bay. It's one of my favorite stats in the league. They don't allow you any yards. They've held all 3 opponents in 2025 in the NFL under 250 total yards. Jordan Love, it's his first pick in a regular season game in 10 games. It was a stinker. They came in flat. They had extra days off, and Cleveland's got an excellent defense. One of the things that worries me, they're not running the football as well as they should, but I think the Packers still have a chance to hoist a Lombardi.
Number 2.
Buffalo. It's almost crazy. 25 straight games they've won the turnover battle. Right now, over the last 12 to 15 games, Josh Allen's doing something that's hard to do. You get all the upside and literally no turnovers. They have the best Super Bowl odds. I don't love their defense on the back end, but I don't like the Ravens' defense anywhere. I have Buffalo at number 2.
Number 1.
They have really bad halves like this past weekend, but it is the best roster in the league. They could probably at the trade deadline go and get another corner, but Nick Sirianni, I didn't get it, but the team does. And Jalen Hurts may be a little small, but he throws well up the sideline. Toughness and leadership, best third and fourth down team in the league. Best roster, most aggressive GM. Here is the herd hierarchy. I take the Ravens over Kansas City Chiefs at 11 due to the fact the Ravens are the road favorite, and I think it's an offensive league, and they've got an incredibly dynamic offense. Welcome back. He does a remarkable job for us. 14 years in the NFL, 3-time Pro Bowler, a Fox Sports analyst, kind enough to take some time for us today. My friend Greg Olsen now joining us. We've been bringing him on since I may have brought him on when he was a Hurricane. By the way, they look physical. Holy God, they're throwing people. Miami for the front. And I mean, they're legit. We'll get to that in a second. They're legit. They passed the eye test. So I said, when Dan Campbell came in, I thought it's kind of reckless because I didn't like their personnel. Now it's like an all-star team. I'm like, yeah, you should go for it all the time on fourth. When they went for it on 4th and 2, and it was funny because Troy Aikman was like, man, he's got a set on him. And I'm like, no, that's kind of what they are. Like, I know you're a believer in this. Like, I think the whole identity of the franchise in Detroit is, we're aggressive. We are an aggressive franchise. I think it's a great brand. Your thoughts?
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of levels to it. At no point in that game did I think if they got in this situation that they weren't going to go for it, right? It was just a matter of what play did they have. They have an entire section on the play sheet for those gotta-have-it moments, the 4th and 1s, the 4th and 2s, the goal-to-go situations. That is not decided upon in the moment. They have them ranked. First time we're in this situation, it's this call. And then they just work their way down the list. They probably carry more of those calls than most teams because they're in that situation. But I think there's multiple factors. I think your point, I heard you before the break about the culture and the identity. Since Dan Campbell took over in Detroit, there has been no wavering that was going to be what they are. They believe in it. He believes in his players. There is no doubt in the huddle amongst the 11 guys in the huddle when they get tackled short on 3rd down. They don't look to the sideline. They don't start walking off. The punt team doesn't start walking on, or the field goal unit. Like, there's not even a consideration. Number one, that's super powerful. Number 2, and this I think is the biggest point, around the league, you look at how many games are won and lost because teams decide every time you kick the ball, a punt or a field goal, your chance of winning that game goes exponentially down. And that's just the nature of the game. Teams that built, you look at Sirianni. I did the Eagles game the other day. They were only in that game because they forced 6 field goals. They blocked 2 of them of the Rams in a game that the Rams, for 3/4 of it, pretty much dominated. So It takes a strong personality as a coach to stand at the podium in a playoff game like Dan Campbell had to do a couple years ago. We called that game where the 4th downs ended up biting them. And they lost the game, and he had to stand up there tall and proud and heartbroken and say, I would do it again. Those are the guys you believe in. Those are the guys that this is not just a flash of the pan. It's baked into every decision they make. And in my opinion, it's the only way to play NFL football in today's day.
Yeah, and so let's talk about that. We both love Sean McVay, and we both love Stafford, and they have really nice skill players. When McVay kept settling for field goals, when it was happening, because you had that game, why do they do that? Is it a belief that, we've got a better game plan? Our defense, I kind of thought watching the game, they just don't think Philadelphia is going to be able to come back. So let's just keep adding 3. That was my take. Yours?
Yeah, there seems to be, and I don't think this is unique to McVay. I think McVay's in the conversation of the top 2 to maybe 3, if not number. in the top 3, no question in my mind, as the best coaches in the NFL. And I think universally amongst his peers, that's how he's regarded. I think in a game like that, when you start fast and you score early, and then every time you score, you're just increasing your lead. When the opposing team's offense is struggling as much as Philly's was in the first half, the human nature is my defense is really strong. That LA defense is for real now. Like they're really young and super talented. They've hit it out of the park with those draft picks the last couple of years. But I'm always of the opposite belief. Like if I think my defense is superior, I'm going to give them the short end of the stick. You know, how often do we hear, so this is kind of a larger level question, Colin, but like how often do we hear coaches say, why did you punt at midfield? Well, my defense was playing so well, so I decided to punt and play the field position battle. And I sit there and say, if your defense is playing so well and your offense is the side of the ball that might be struggling, so not necessarily the case for the Rams in that one particular game, but just in general, give your offense the extra down. Give your offense, tip the scales in their favor. And if one side of the ball does have to carry the load for a little while, make it the side of the ball that you're telling everybody has been so dominant. Why give your defense the short field in that situation and not give your offense an extra down? And I think that's what teams are starting to realize. You see Sirianni on their opening drive touchdown. Now, granted, they have the ultimate X factor play in the quarterback sneak. They go for 2 4th downs. They end up with an opening drive touchdown and start the game strong. So, like, I think we're going to continue to see teams understand field goals get you beat. If no matter how well you think your defense is playing, if you continue, I told you this in the break, if I was a head coach, unless it was the walk-off field goal to win the game or take the lead late, or if it was a 4th and 10 plus, I would never kick a field goal less than 35 yards. I just think it's a wasted opportunity of getting down in the red zone, and I think we're going to see more teams adopt that strategy.
So you're lucky. You get to go to Dublin, Ireland, which is it's just a great place to go for anything. It could be a Guinness, Irish whiskey, or a football game. It's just a great place to go. And you have the Vikings and the Steelers. And I think the Vikings are a fascinating team because I've watched this with Darnold and Baker. Is that their careers get resurrected. And this didn't happen 10 to 15 years ago. My take is there are so many smart young offensive coaches. The beneficiary of that is these quarterbacks who get drafted by the Jets and go to the Panthers, Darnold. Or it's Baker and he's not quite mature enough in Cleveland. He goes to LA and then he finds Tampa. Is that it's giving guys, this used to be a total outlier. Then now it's happening all the time because there's so many good offensive coaches. And I argued this last week. I said, well, Carson Wentz can play. And how do I know that? Because all the coaches that like him are all these really smart offensive guys. And they're like, I'll put Carson Wentz on my roster. So you're looking at tape now. I think today he's better than J.J. McCarthy. Maybe not in 8 weeks. Maybe not next year. Today, when you look at film, can you go on a 5-game winning streak with Carson Wentz in Minnesota?
Yeah, I think if the Vikings have proved one thing, if Kevin O'Connell has proved one thing, and they've proved many things in his time in Minnesota, I'm not sure there is a coach in the league, a head coach for sure, or an offensive coordinator who gets the most out of their quarterback within their system and blends the idea of play caller, quarterback whisperer, confidant, mentor, enough to kick them in the behind and get them going, but also when it's time to put their arm around them. He has such a unique quality to check all of those boxes. It sounds like that would be the given, but as we all know, a lot of those quarterbacks you just mentioned did not enter into those kind of organizations with that kind of fit earlier in their career. I mean, look what he did with Cousins, and obviously Cousins goes in free agency and gets the big deal post-injury with Atlanta. Then what he does last year with Sam, who goes and gets a huge contract in Seattle. Now, J.J. McCarthy, he gets hurt, and now in comes Carson Wentz, who hasn't been a starter in this league. He's been on 6 teams, I think, or whatever it's been. And again, this was a 1-game sample size. Can they continue to do that week in and week out? We'll find out this week in Ireland. But he has such a unique quality where, yes, he has the X's and O's. Yes, he has the schematic advantage. But it's all the other stuff. It's the Sean McVay qualities. Those are just really unique guys. And there's just not many of them. And again, this is a larger question, but that's why when you get an opportunity to get them in your building and you got to hire them away from LA, you got to make him your head coach. And you see why teams are going towards young offensive minds on the head coaching search. And it gets into that whole conversation. When you have a guy like Kevin O'Connell and obviously the talent on the roster, your ability to weather quarterback change, injuries is just bigger than most, not everybody, but it's bigger than most teams around the league. And Kevin O'Connell has proven to be as good, if not better than any coach in the league in regards to developing and getting the best out of his quarterback.
So I said, being a quarterback in Chicago is harder than Buffalo. So in Josh Allen's first year and a half, he was completing 56% of his throws, had more picks than touchdowns. They've been to multiple Super Bowls. They had Jim Kelly. There is a sense, hey, it's a small market. The media is kind of supportive. We're going to make Josh Allen work. He's too talented. In Chicago, I mean, it's loud. The guys up north, a 30-minute train ride up north, Green Bay have owned you for 3 decades. And even though Caleb had 20 touchdowns and 6 picks, had amazing moments, like there's this sense that if he don't get it right this year, we're moving on. And I think to myself, I wish Chicago had a little Buffalo. The media wasn't as loud. The organization didn't suffer from a neighbor up north being dominant. How long? Because I think Caleb is going to be like Josh. I think it's going to take time. Tons of horsepower, great freelancer. I think it's going to take some years. How long do you give him?
Well, I'll tell you, based off this past weekend against Dallas, I caught parts of the game. I was traveling home from my game, so I only saw parts of it. The parts that I saw, he looked great. I mean, I call it, granted, it's a preseason game. The only time I got to see him up close and personal this year was in a preseason game where they blew out Buffalo. And again, preseason games are always tricky. You kind of got to read through the tea leaves as far as how the whole matchup works out. But I think Ben Johnson is as brilliant an offensive mind as there is in the game of football. I felt that way now for a couple years. I think it's going to take, as much as it's going to take Caleb Williams time to continue, I think it's going to take Ben Johnson time to figure out, all right, what works with this personnel group? What works in this locker room? What works in these meetings? What works in these installs? Like as much success as he's had in his time as a play caller in Detroit, and as much time as Caleb Williams and the success he had in college, it doesn't always just automatically translate to the next place because every place is uniquely different and every place has their strengths and weaknesses. Ben Johnson is still working through what that looks like, being the head coach in Chicago. Everything you just said is spot on. I played there for 4 years. I understand firsthand what expectations and the noise and the media. It's real. It's not an easy place to play. I think Ben Johnson's personality and demeanor is a good fit. I don't think he worries too much about outside noise. I think he's very internally confident. I think as Ben Johnson continues to push Caleb Williams and coach him hard and hold him accountable, I think we're going to steadily see an improved Caleb Williams over time. Now, what is that ceiling? Physically, the ceiling is as high as anybody. Can he tie all of it together? Obviously, time will tell. I don't know if any of us really can predict it, but Ben Johnson didn't take that job because he didn't think Caleb Williams was going to be a good player. That was all baked into that decision. And I think it's just, here we are 3 weeks in. We've seen a lot of good. They did really well against Dallas, but their defense is a whole nother story. My guess right now is we're going to continue to see that relationship and that offense in Chicago steadily improve.
I was watching the Ravens last night, and their brand's always been tough, relentless, physical, and that defense, it doesn't do much good. It's just really struggling. They're basically the Cowboys defense without the star and the discussion, like on the helmet. Like they're just not good. And I thought to myself, it was strange watching them, that Lamar scores so quickly. It's not complimentary football. The bad defense goes back on the field. Like the Lions last year, the defense was bad, but they dominated time of possession, number 2 in the league. And I watched Baltimore. Greg, I do not think you can win a Super Bowl with a bad defense. Atlanta's the only team in the last decade that got there, and they blew a huge fourth quarter lead. I looked at Baltimore last night, and I'm like, we're in week 4. Is that solvable? I mean, I know they were missing a pass rusher or two, but that wasn't a pass rush issue. That was getting bulldozed for 3.5 hours. I don't know if you can win a Super Bowl with that defense. Can you solve stuff by week 4, 5, and 6?
I mean, the answer is yes, you can. I mean, Baltimore did it last year. I mean, in the first half of the season, their defense was abysmal. They had a hard time replacing McDonald. Obviously, he went on and took the head job out in Seattle, and they had some growing pains figuring out what that defensive structure was going to look like. They lost a lot of their coaching staff to other teams, to head coaching jobs. There was some shuffling. So it took them, call it half the season last year, to really find their way. And then down the stretch, I called their game on Christmas Day. So it was late in the year, and they beat Houston, and they were dominant. And obviously the rest is history through the playoffs and the matchups and losing, obviously. But I do think they can get it better. I think Harbaugh, although not a defensive guy by trade, is a long time, very established head coach. He's been through good offenses, bad offenses, good defenses, bad defenses. I think programs like that do have stability at the head coaching position with the experience that he has, I think they can get it right. But I agree with you. They've got a lot of work to do. The explosive nature of Baltimore's offense is exactly what you want in today's day and age. You don't want to score on 10-plus play drives every time. If you are ultra dependent on time of possession and sit on the ball and go in the length of the field every time, that's a very hard model in today's game to sustain. So their quick strike offense is what you want. But then your point is exactly correct. On the inverse, when my defense is not playing great, the more I put them right back on the field to match possession for possession with my opponent, you're going to see a high-scoring game. And obviously, we've seen them play a few of them now. So they've got to get the defense squared away. I would always rather have an offense that can score 30 any given day and fix the defense. I think it's harder in today's NFL to say, okay, my defense can keep you. I'm the Browns, right? Like that defense is going to keep you 15 to 17 points a lot, but then you're just holding your breath. Like, how are we ever going to score? Is it sustainable beating the Packers in a game in the teens over the length of the season? I would always rather an offense that can score, and then we can figure out together how we can get that defense to just keep those number as low as possible on the other side.
Well, I got to ask you this. Justin Herbert got hit 14 times. He got pressured 55. And Jim Harbaugh said after the game, you'd never know it in his facial expression. He never winces. And there is something about toughness. I had a GM tell me this years ago. He said, the key in this league is you think all football players are tough. He goes, some guys don't like getting hit. And some guys, like Andrew Luck, love to get popped. Just, I want to get involved. I look at Herbert and I'm like, Greg, I mean, you played in the NFL for years. You had the ability. You were a rare tight end. You could be tough and block. Tony Gonzalez could do this. Or you could get down the field. But were there quarterbacks you played with that you knew that had a tight end mentality, and then other guys, they were quarterbacks? They didn't want to get hit. Because I watch Herbert and I'm like, that's not everybody is that.
Yeah, I think there's the spectrum there is very wide. I don't think I ever played with a guy. Now, I played with a lot of quarterbacks. I don't think any of them ever were afraid to get hit. But two come to mind that remind me of Herbert as far as the physicality of the game brought out the best in them. And that was obviously Cam, and in Chicago was Jay Cutler. Like, there was a mentality to both of them that if they got sacked, if they got hit hard, they were going to like beat you up off the ground, get to their feet faster to just show, like, even though I'm dying inside, even though you got the best of me and I'm hurting, like, I'm never going to let you see that. Cam had that. Like, we used to joke, Cam's game didn't start until he either got hit, like sacked, or like hit as a passer, or we just had to call a quarterback run and let him just run headfirst into the Mike linebacker on quarterback power. And then we're like, okay, the game's officially started. Cutler was the same way, like not so much as a designed runner like Cam was, but in the open field, he wasn't a big slider. He wasn't getting down. Like, there was multiple times I could picture him in my head where he's taking guys on at the line of scrimmage. I mean, at the goal line, lowering his shoulder. Like, so those two guys in my time come to mind as like that physical, not scared, not going to flinch, can get hit 10 times in a row. And on the 11th play, they're going to hold that ball and let that dig open up just 1/2 clicks longer, because that's when he needs to deliver it. Like, I agree that you can't coach that. Like, that's ingrained in the DNA of who these guys are. And to play in today's game with the struggles of offensive line and the defensive linemen just getting so good, and the defensive coordinators, these simulated pressures and free runners, and we see these good quarterbacks under fire very often. If you can't stand in there and take shots in the pocket, and you can't manipulate outside the pocket and every once in a while just be respectable as a runner, it is a very hard way to play quarterback in today's NFL if you don't have that level of toughness. And I think for the most part, you look around the league at the guys, Baker, Sam Darnold, like these guys are inherently tough, physically tough guys.
Finally, all the football you've played through all the years. There's something weird about college football. It's the only sport that makes me mad. When my Trojans struggle, I'm in a bad mood the rest of Saturday. I watched Miami this year. I've been sold Miami for years. I think this team's legit physically. What say you?
Oh, there's no question. So Mario Cristobal, you're not going to find a bigger fan of Mario than me. I've known Mario since I was a freshman in high school when I first met him when he was a GA at Miami. And then he went with Greg Schiano to Rutgers, and I grew up in Jersey. So they were always at all of our games and all of our sporting events. So I go back 30 years with, 25 years with Mario. So I think the job he's done, I've always said, if he couldn't do it, then nobody could do it. Well, obviously he was the guy to do it. They are so physical. It's in everything that Mario Cristobal is about. He's got a little bit of that Dan Campbell where the physicality and the size and his toughness and the way he communicates is so aggressive, yet there is an element of sophistication and cerebral, and they're good recruiters and coaches and motivators. Like, he kind of reminds me a little bit of Dan in that perspective. But man, what a job he's done. But I'm with you. I was in Philly. I'm at the Four Seasons in Philly. Amazing hotel, kicking my feet up. I'm going to have a nice night after production meetings and dinner. I'm going to watch the Miami game. And I'm literally sweating in my room. That touchdown got called back for the inadvertent whistle. Then Florida goes on that big drive. And I'm like,
yes.
Oh my God, we're going to lose this game all because of that inadvertent whistle. Now I'm mad at the refs. Like, it is an emotional experience watching a college or a team that you're invested in.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah, I can get over an NFL loss in 15 minutes with a cold beer. College football losses send me on a tailspin for 36 hours. Yeah.
You should see me with my middle school football team that I coach. It'll take me 3 weeks to get over a bad game.
Well, at least you're not kicking field goals. I know that about your
No field goals. We only go for 2.
There you go. Great seeing you, buddy. You're amazing.
I appreciate you. Thanks, Colin.
I've had the good fortune to run into Greg off the air from time to time. He is just about as good a human being as you're going to meet. We had good dudes on the show today. I mean, we tolerated Nick Wright, but I got Justin Herbert and Greg Olsen. I mean, you can't do better than that.